soft claps right now. My door's open and the baby's asleep, so soft claps for you guys. Okay, now let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale. Coach Colin here. We got Joe Rogan talking with Jimmy Dore, and Jimmy Dore is telling the story of being invited on Don Lemon's podcast. Could you possibly imagine Jimmy and Don Lemon sitting down for a conversation that's going to last upwards of 90 minutes? Could you even fathom what would happen to poor Don Lemon? Oh my God. As someone who's interviewed Jimmy Dore, I would advise against it. Not Jimmy's great, but you have to be ready for Jimmy to handle a Jimmy Dore interview. You can't be Don Lemon with some agenda where you're really trying to get back in the good graces of CNN and MSNBC and think that oh my gosh, he's going to talk about 9/11 right off the bat. Don Lemon can't handle that. Are you kidding me? He's going to talk about the Nord Stream pipeline. It's done. Don Lemon can't handle this. So it's hilarious to hear that they were actually searching for Jimmy to have him on the show. Now, when I start this clip right now, what Joe is talking about is the terrible, terrible business method of mainstream media. He said it's basically a podcast, a bunch of podcasts in a giant building with massive overhead and no one's watching the shows. And I think that sums up corporate media pretty well. I don't know how they're surviving. I'll talk about it at the end, but at the end of the day, I think it's because they're a necessary evil and the people who are paying them need them to talk those talking points that they talk so often. Let's get into this clip.
And you look, and Don Lemon started his own YouTube channel, and
it's wonderful.
Nobody's watching.
It's wonderful.
So I got invited on that show.
Joe Scarborough talking.
So I got invited on that show, and I turned it down a few times, and my assistant is like, hey, look, they really want you to do the show. Yeah. And so I was talking to my friend Jackson Hinkle, and I said, yeah, Don Lemon keeps inviting me on the show. He goes, you got to go. And I'm like, it would just be me trying to insult him. You know, it would just be me saying how shitty he is and how he's the, because I had just gotten done doing a rant about Chris Cuomo talking about ivermectin, but still lying about it. And he goes, yeah, that would be fun to watch you do that. And I go, okay, I'll do it. So I told my assistant, I could tell him I'll do the show. So we set it up. And I go, just me. I go, I'm not going on with anyone else. I'm not having a debate with another asshole and Don Lemon. I go, I'll just go on with Don Lemon. And they agreed to it. And so the morning we were supposed to do the show, an hour show, just me, they canceled.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so why?
And I maybe because Don Lemon's like, oh, who am I interviewing today? And then he Googled me. He's like, no, we're not. No, we're not. And that was right when I did a video, calling out Chris Cuomo for being a lying piece of shit. That went kind of viral. And so,
all right, so Chris Cuomo probably called up. They probably talked. They're probably homies.
He probably saw that video.
Yeah,
he probably went to put in Jimmy Dore on Twitter, and that comes up.
Well, he should be if he wants to become successful. Being an independent person, he's going to have to engage in conversations with people he disagrees with.
He still calls the truth about COVID conspiracy theories.
Yeah, he's a fool.
He's a fool.
He's a genuine fool.
He's one of those guys. Ivermectin's horse paste. Mm-hmm. He's the lab theory is racist against Chinese people.
Mm-hmm. So not only that, he had a whole episode with Sanjay Gupta after Sanjay Gupta came on here.
Admitted that they were lying about ivermectin, and then they tried to pretend that they weren't.
But it is horse medicine. It was used for human beings for 12 years
before they ever used
it for veteran medicine. Don Lemon, you fucking moron. It's just so the idea that these talking heads who they had on CNN should be some sort of a moral compass and an ethical compass for the rest of us is fucking stupid and so insulting, especially when you see these people on their own. So when you see these people on their own, like when you see Dave Smith debating Chris Cuomo and nuking him, and then you see Don Lemon doing his show, and you go, okay, this is who you guys are, for real. Yeah. This is the real for real. When you see Brian Stelter doing that WEF thing, hiking up his skirt for those lizard people, the whole thing is like, this is who you really were. This is you guys. And you surviving on your own in this independent platform, good luck, because this platform is transparent. They're going to see you for who you are. No producers, no the scripts that you're going to read off of. That won't even work in this realm. It doesn't work.
So that's so I have this dream to produce a show that would compete with Bill Maher. Because I don't know if you've ever seen, I do live shows, right, with a panel and a live audience, right? So it's kind of like Bill Maher, but it's funny and it's accurate, So so that's why I'm like, and so I've been pitching it to Rumble. You know what Rumble is, right?
Sure.
And so thank God for Rumble, because I don't have to ever worry about being censored.
Right. Rumble's great.
They've been out in front on the free, like, we're not going to censor, say whatever you want. That's up to you. I think
they're great.
It's up to you and your audience.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. And so I travel around the country and nobody's heard of Rumble. I mean, except
More people have now than ever before.
people are starting, and so I tried to talk them in. They're like, "Hey, why don't you finance a show and a soundstage for me, and we could compete with Bill Maher, and instead of real time, we'll call it Rumble Time, and we'll put a billboard up in Times Square and right across the street from where Bill does his fucking show, and this is to be like a
good idea.
and they were on board, and but. I guess there was too much money. I don't know how much money they had. It wasn't that much. It's like I got it down to like 90,000 an episode for like a real thing that would look exactly as good as Bill Maher, which that costs a couple $1 million an episode.
And
right?
would you do it in front of an audience?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course. I've
like
got
your
the
shows,
studio.
like your stand-up shows.
Yeah. So I do those. I travel with that show. I do a video show hooked up to my computer, and it's kind of a mixture of the Daily Show and Bill Maher show. I have a panel and and we have the comedy, and it's
I've seen it's very funny.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That one thing about the Rachel Maddow lying 35 times.
Yeah, I love that, man.
Yeah. So I do that, and I tour. I'm gonna the next time I'm doing it is in Chicago in August, right before the convention. I got press credentials.
Oh my God.
I can't. I shouldn't say anything. But
Yeah, we probably shouldn't have told anybody.
I should have said anything, but I got them. It's so to be.
Well, you're a real journalist. You should get press credentials.
Press credentials for you know what? This guy spoke in front of the UN. I think it's about time he gets those type of credentials. Obviously, I mean, he's doing the work. I mean, I always run away from the title when people say, "Oh, great journalism" or "great reporting," and I'm like, "Nah, I'm just making videos." But at the same time, when you actually do look at these talking heads and these mainstream people who are considered journalists, the people who are on X and YouTube, we are doing the same thing and much more. We're looking like we do what they do. We look like there's teleprompters and people telling us what to do, but there's not at all. In fact, I don't know about everybody else, most of my day is just sitting down and researching, then I'm shooting stuff. And so Jimmy obviously deserves that. He's doing the exact same thing, man, just on a larger scale. Very interesting how they're talking about Don Lemon. And I think it's so appropriate because as soon as I saw the Don Lemon interview with Elon Musk, as soon as I saw that, should I show you guys a little clip of that? I'll show you a little clip of that. He really annoys Elon Musk. I'll do it from halfway. He's a bit insufferable, so I don't want to go too much. We'll do a little halfway.
What you want your advertiser to appear next to, you can't insist on censorship of the entire platform. And if you insist on censorship of the entire platform, even where your advertising doesn't appear, then obviously we will not want them as an advertiser.
So what would you say to advertisers who have left the platform or who are considering coming back or not coming back? What would you like to say to them?
Well, first of all, almost all of our advertisers are coming back to the platform. So it's a very short list of advertisers who are not coming back to the platform. And our advertising revenue is rising rapidly. And our subscription revenue is rising rapidly. And I feel very optimistic about the future of the X platform.
Okay. Listen, I'm honestly, I'm not meaning to offend you. You're an intense person. Where does that intensity come from?
I was born that way. And I had a tough childhood.
You did?
So, yeah.
How so?
Right, Walter Isaacson goes into it in the book, and we only have a couple minutes left, so
All right.
too long to describe. So there are one or two questions I can do, and then we'll have to call it.
Okay. Again, I don't mean to upset you. Why are you just...
No, I have a whole room full of people waiting to meet with me.
Okay.
So we're just going over time.
Okay. All right. I understand.
Absolutely crazy. If you go back here a little bit too, he actually says to him, he's like, pick your next question wisely. Listen to this. I hope this is it. Oh, it's not even playing. Man, it's just so wild to see the interview, how much he upset Elon Musk, how much Elon Musk was ready to give him almost into the 8 figures in terms of money for a contract for Don Lemon, who right now his YouTube channel gets pretty much the same views, if not less, than my channel. He's willing to give him almost $10 million just because of his name, just because he used to work for CNN. And for him to upset Elon Musk, throughout that interview, if you haven't seen him, he suggests that he's racist. He suggests that he's anti-Semitic. He just touches on a bunch of things that you shouldn't be touching on with somebody who's pretty much doing you a solid. You just got fired. You didn't know you were going to get fired. You're going to be on this platform. You could be making millions of dollars. You're making crazy requests. And then on top of everything, you try this weird gotcha stuff. But the whole interview just reeked of Don Lemon trying to get back into the good graces of the tolerant left. That's what he was really trying to do. He's trying to get back into the graces of CNN, MSNBC, and he was hoping one of these big places, not CNN, of course, would pick him up and bring him back into the fold of propaganda. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen. So imagine Don trying to sit with Jimmy and go back and forth. Oh my gosh. It would be crazy. It would be crazy. It would be so bad. So many viral clips. It would boost Don Lemon, but for the wrong reasons. For all the wrong reasons. Now, let me just touch on something really quick. A show that competes with Bill Maher. Jimmy doing a show that competes with Bill Maher. He already has a show that competes with Bill Maher. So it's very interesting that he wanted to do something else, because his show already competes in a way, I guess. I don't know. But $90,000 an episode, I've worked behind the scenes. And I've done this independent thing. You could probably get that, I mean, minusing whatever they would pay Jimmy, you could probably get that down to $20,000 an episode. You just got to do it real bare bones. Bill Maher isn't doing much. You don't need a big stage. You don't need too many people in the cameras. You don't need producers. You already have an assistant. I should message him about that and be like, you could do this way cheaper. I know I could help him do that, and it would probably be less than $20,000 an episode. You don't need much to compete with Bill Maher and what Bill Maher does. I used to have that mindset that you need hundreds of thousands of dollars to do something that people are willing to watch, and it's just not true. It's just not true at all. Very interesting stuff to hear that Don Lemon wanted to sit down with Jimmy Dore and then canceled. But not surprising at the same time. Don Lemon right now is completely, I don't want to say failing, because he still has time. He's young. It's not like he's 80 years old or something. But I went just now, and I'm not even going to put you guys through it. I went and watched his podcast just now. It is, like Joe Rogan said, like, oh, this is you for real, for real. It was terrible. And he's just talking about the Supreme Court ruling, and he's like, oh, I was flabbergasted and just on the wall about what they let Trump do. And I was like, and then he had a guest who was like, this means that Joe Biden is allowed to send out people to assassinate his political opponents. It's like, what? And the person was like a law student from New York. I was like, this is crazy. A professor. I was like, this is just, these are easy Googles. What is this? It was amazing, but not worth watching. I put the audience through a lot of different things. You know, Joy Reid, you know, MSNBC, Joe Scarborough. I'll put you guys through a lot of things, but that's where I draw the line. Absolutely. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think would happen with Jimmy and Don Lemon sitting down for an interview. Let me know how you think that would turn out. I think it would be a bloodbath. I think it would be terrible. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, subscribe, comment, turn on the notifications. Helps the channel tremendously. And other than that, I'm out.